everybody, it's Ryan from Ryviews.com. That's right, I'm back. I had a request on one of my old videos to have some more standard general tips and tricks for Creeper World to explain some of the basic mechanics of the game. So here we go. You may notice that these videos are cut slightly tighter than before because the dead space made me sound like an idiot, so I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible, which is not that much. You may also notice that this is going to be dubbed over the video. My first audio recording was extremely blown out, and it sounded awful. So we're trying to fix that now. Let's see how it goes. To be fair, this is the part where I sang a little doodle about selecting the world, so let's do that. We'll select the world, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. That's pretty much all it was. He didn't really miss much. This is the command center. It's your bread and butter. It is your home base, and it is what you need to place very far away from these little terrible blue guys, which are called creeper nodes. They generate creeper, and if you unfreeze the game, you land your command center and the creeper starts going. Your command center generates energy, which you can see up on this top counter up here. It's telling you how much energy you generate and tells you how much you have stored. That's that 25 number. Your command center has a limited amount of life, so if you land it in the creeper, you'll notice that it will die eventually. Most buildings will die automatically. Weapons actually also have a bit of life like the command center, but in general, you want to avoid contact with the creeper at all possible. You always want to start your base by building these little collector guys. Collectors are how you connect every building to your command center to power it, and they also generate power themselves. You can see the little soylent area, which is the green glowing spot around the collector. They're generating energy based on the surrounding area at the same elevation. So you also see that if it's at a different elevation, either above or below, that collector is not generating energy from that area. To power any other building, you have to connect it via these little transmission lines and power it with packets through the command center and then through those nodes. You can use relays, for example, to connect things, but they don't generate energy themselves, and some buildings will let you pass power through them, but not others. There's no problem with building too many collectors, you're just wasting time. One thing to remember here is that you're generating energy every tick, which is every second, basically. You are not losing any energy if you're just sitting there wasting it. I mean, you're losing out on potential stuff you could generate, because you have a storage cap, but there's no penalty to building a million billion collectors other than your wasted time and effort. There really is no problem with having a million billion buildings. It just slows you down. One thing to note is that collectors only generate energy on that area, which means if they're overlapping, you don't double up. That area can only be used for energy collection once. So you don't want to space them too close together. That's why I usually have this little fancy square format that I'll show later in the video. Reactors generate way more energy than the actual collectors do. Collectors generate usually about 0.3 if you maximize the area. Reactors generate a bit more. And they are obviously very, very tight and compact. So you're able to do that making 9 buildings side by side. You can generate a whole lot more energy with reactors than you could with one collector because they can only use that area once, like I said. But they don't transmit, and they're much slower to build. So early on, you don't want to rely wholly on reactors because the collectors are much better for building your base and expanding a little bit. You can see those packets coming out of your command center. Like I said, that's how it powers buildings, how it builds buildings. That's how you use the energy you've collected. If you look at that top section, you'll see the green number and a red number. The red number is how much you're currently expending. The green number is how much you're generating. And you'll see whenever the transmission lines, those nodes, the little white lines that connect to every building, when that turns red, that means you're starving the system. You've reached starvation point. That means you're trying to spend more than you're generating. What will happen is that as many packets as you can send out will still get sent out in the same order they would have been sent. But now because it's slowed down, they're sent across, let's say, these 4 different buildings that I'm building too quickly, which means you're not generating that as fast as you could. Essentially, the problem that happens there is that now, instead of having one building ready and then generating power to power the next 3 that you're trying to build, building all 4 at one time means they'll all finish at one time, and you're losing out on the potential energy you could have generated by building one, then the other, then the other, then the other. So generally, you want to avoid starving your system too much. There's 2 primary different weapons in the game. There's the mortar and the blaster. The blaster, which I guess is called the cannon, is good at dealing with direct creeper in front of it. It slows the tide down effectively, but it only fires at its elevation or lower, so that is a very serious detriment to it. The mortar, on the other hand, is great for pools of creeper. It can fire to any elevation, but it's terrible with the stuff that's getting close to you. It's really good for faraway pools. So if you're able to build a moat or big walls around your base, mortars are going to be way more effective later in the game. Blasters are really good for kind of close defense. Cannons. I call them blasters. They're blasters. What I'm building right now is called a terp. It lets you change the elevation of certain spots, which is fantastic for base building. You can build walls, you can build moats, and one of the most important features early on, if you're trying to have a compact base, is you can level out the ground to maximize your collectors, or to make sure that if you have a spot that is kind of half and half, two different elevations, you can level it out and actually use that building spot. You'll note that in this case I was working kind of quickly, and I didn't really fully utilize my space very well, but normally you're able to jam-pack buildings in very, very efficiently if you properly terp. You want to avoid overexpansion, because if you're powering too many buildings at one time, you will starve your system. Relays, like I said before, are like collectors, but they don't generate energy directly. So it's good to build those later, after you have enough energy through reactors, because the speed at which packets reach buildings is very important later. If you're looking at a blaster, for example, it can't usually stay at full ammo capacity until you upgrade packet speed with upgrades, which I'll explain when I get there later. So relays let you get packets to buildings faster because you're able to have a connector that's longer, which means, a connector, not collector. Don't get those confused, kids. And you're able to decrease the number of nodes. Basically, the packet will travel from node to node in the shortest distance possible to wherever it's trying to get. So having more relays means you're able to get to far reaches of the map much faster. You can see here I'm terping a wall, so I'm able to create an effective base defense to keep the creeper at bay. My standard procedure is that I place blaster, mortar, which is the best way that I've seen to keep creeper away. That number of mortars will help you keep the creeper far enough away that the blasters will usually not even be firing, which means you're able to save a lot of energy. And those blasters also help if you have any kind of upsets or that kind of thing. And they also help early on with keeping the creeper away so you can get the mortars to actually do their job. So it's a really, really effective way to defend your base. Now, building that wall takes quite some time, so you need to make sure you have defenses set up as you're building. And as you'll see on the video, I usually leave my second line while I'm building that front line, so that way I can defend while I'm building the wall. When I'm trying to push through creeper to get somewhere, like this node to power my research, I usually build a 9x9 block so I can fit blasters and mortars all inside to jut into the creeper and make it exactly where I need to go to place a relay station and then power that research. Once you're able to get upgrades, it's a lot less of a concern because you're going to be really, really powerful with all your weapons. When you activate one of these research little nodes, you can build a forge, and you're able to unlock power-ups. The amount of nodes you have directly influences how many forge points you're getting, so you want to connect to as many as you can. That being said, if you're only able to get to one easily, it's pretty nice to turtle and then upgrade, and it's easier to expand after you've made some upgrades. One thing to remember is that the longer you've activated that research node, the faster it will generate the points. So that's one factor. Also, if you destroy your forge, you lose all your upgrades. So, very important, make sure you build your forge where you want it, and try not to have it get killed, because you will literally lose every single one of your upgrades. You have to start back from scratch. The one nice thing is that those research nodes that are now, generating stuff faster, that sticks around. So if you've made it to node, 5 times, but you lose your forge, you're back to 0, square one for your upgrades, but then you're able to ramp back up pretty fast, which is nice. I usually recommend upgrading energy first, because if you upgrade things like build speed, like fire speed, you will start spending more energy because it requires the same amount of energy for ammo. You're just firing faster, so you're using more energy when you do that. So I usually recommend upgrading energy several times, have a comfortable buffer. Same thing with energy storage. Make sure you have that buffer, make sure you have enough in storage so that if you shock your system, you're able to maintain proper supply lines. One annoying thing that really bothers my sense of law and order in this game is that almost every building is this little kind of 3x3 pixel block. The forge and these Bertha cannons are 5x5, which of course is not a nice number when comparing it to 3. So typically I'll build them in this nice little 3x3 pattern to make it 15. It fits exactly in a nice little square bounded by relays, and that way I'm not wasting any space in my base. Now, as I explained already, this was a very sloppy thing to show off some of the different points of the game. I didn't build this base very well. This is a good example of how I normally build my base. I do it in exactly those little 3x3 pixel quadrants to make everything fit side by side, not wasting a single spot. Once you've built these Bertha cannons, which are huge energy sucks by the way, so I usually do not build them unless I'm able to be upgrading my energy. Both energy storage and energy generation. They are very powerful. If you auto-target, they target the highest point of creeper on the map. I usually use them for auto-targeting because they're smarter than I am when it comes to where to fire. You can also point them to specific spots, which I like doing if I'm trying to make it to a node, for example. I might want to shoot that area, but generally I recommend the auto-target because, like I said, it's better than you are at determining where it should be firing to get the maximum value. I think that covers it for the basics, so I will be trying to do more of these videos to explain a bit more in kind of a more succinct way than the original version, I suppose, of kind of how to play the game and some more advanced maneuvers and techniques and a lot more of the advanced buildings, which I didn't get to in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to this. I enjoyed going back to making them again. I've missed it. So expect some more videos in the future, hopefully, in theory. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you feel you need to do. You can also tell me how much it was terrible, but I don't know why you need to tear other people down to make yourself feel better, but you do you. Also, feel free to watch any of my old, much worse videos. Thanks, everybody. Until next time. Wasn't that a great video? Hopefully you'll want to like, comment, and subscribe below, and I will see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.